Thursday, January 26, 2017. I'm Larry Fixler, filling in for Dr. Tom Trowbridge. I declare the meeting started. Call to order. We're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance first. Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We're going to skip around a little. We're going to go down to communications, announcements, and discussions, and we're going to start on talking about the farmers market proposal for North Andover this summer. So, Brian, did you want to? And also, I'd like to let everybody know Selectman Phil DiCollegiero is here to also talk about the farmers market. Absolutely.
Yeah, you want to just give an overview?
Selectman, do you want to come up here and
all that stuff? That would be great.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen, for having me tonight.
Thank you for coming.
So I'm here because I'm excited to report that over the past several months, there's been a group of about 7 residents, business owners, and professionals from Town Hall that have worked on organizing our first in North Andover, our farmers market that ideally would be located on First Street, right off of Main Street. So I think that we would be appealing to a lot of our local business owners, residents, the town as a whole, with getting something downtown that has long been a desire of all of those groups. So we had worked together to put together a plan that we thought would be appealing to potential vendors. Eric Kafori, our community development director, has been instrumental in helping us get to the point where we are now, actually before the Board of Health, because for us it was getting the organization pieces in place before we started reaching out to vendors, and there was one final piece I think that would make this successful, and that was making sure the permitting process could be as streamlined as possible without sacrificing the public's health or reducing the oversight that the health department has. So Eric brought in Brian, and Brian worked with, I think at one point there were 8 of us at a meeting, and heard our feedback and did a lot of the legwork to gather information on what other communities do. And I'll let him explain more because he's the one who explained it to me. But what ideally would work out best. And so I'm just here to support Brian and actually just say thank you, because I think this is a great example of what can happen when the town, business owners, volunteers, and residents all work together. We end up with good policy that treats everybody fairly, but also maintains, I think, the trust the public has in the institutions we have at Town Hall. So.
Thank you very much for coming. Appreciate it. Farmers markets, we don't really have any type of a model. People kind of do their own things here and there. We don't have any set policy or procedure here in North Andover. So to look at what they wanted to do and to break it down to basically it's going to be an event every Sunday for the entire summer. Same vendors will be coming in every week, setting up, vending their goods. Everything from, I'm sure, crafts and trinkets and different types of supplies and art tables, things like that, to food vendors, and farmers market type of stuff. So we're talking fruits, vegetables, things like that. From a health department perspective, we have to permit and inspect every single one of those vendors. So it's a pretty good.
Selling trinkets?
No, only food.
Okay.
Only food vendors. So what you want to do is you want to make sure they're doing it properly, they're doing it safely, and they know how to do it. Transporting it, preparing it on site, or if they're just doing prepackaged candy, ice cream, things like that. So there's different procedures and processes for each type of a vendor. But typically what we would do if it was a one-day event, you may give each vendor their own permit and charge them their own fee. Where with this, they're coming in, they're doing multiple days over the course of the summer. Instead of doing that and doing each individual vendor each individual week, very labor intensive, very confusing permitting wise for the vendors, the association, and the health department. We're going to work with the association and do one blanket vendor permit that the association will get. Each vendor then has to register with us and fill out their forms. And I'm going to create a vendor registration list, very similar to how we do something like the sheep shearing, where the vendors submit their information to us, we vet it, we make sure the Sheep Shearing Association has them on their list, they have their assigned booth, they're good to go, and then we go and we do the inspection. So all the vendors will register with us, They'll be assigned a spot by the Merchant Association, and they'll come back every week. We'll inspect them. Probably the very first time they open up, they'll get a pre-opening inspection, and then throughout the course of summer, we'll do spot checks. But instead of charging each individual one a permit and going through that entire process, we're going to work with the association to kind of streamline it and condense it all into one blanket permit for the whole event, for the whole summer, and then we'll do our inspections and do all of our checks on the individual vendors. So I think, and that being said, it will be easier for everybody. I think it'll hopefully entice vendors to come and make this a success. I want to have these types of vendors in town for the residents to come and have all the different things to choose from, all the different farmers markets and farmers vendors. Hopefully, you know, promoting fresh produce and healthy eating.
So a question. You said First Street is where it's going to be located.
I did. We have to still go and get that permitting done, but once we do that, it becomes a much more public event at that point, selecting a location, and that can be a variable, but we're working with Tina Messina and the first and main business owners, so.
Right, is it going to be in the parking lot, or are you actually going to block First Street?
We actually would, just at the beginning of First Street. So from where First Street meets Main, our goal would be to block it off to just before the Star Pizza driveway, so we wouldn't impact any business's driveway. And it would be on a Sunday as well, so it's actually when several normally open and busy businesses wouldn't be.
Okay.
So, I mean, Brian hit something really important on the head. So by having this streamlined process where they wouldn't have to keep coming back, I mean, this is a gamble for them, because for farmers especially that participate in farmers markets, this is part of their business model. And so if anyone's that sign up with us would be taking a risk to a certain extent, because they don't know, because we've never had one before, what the turnout will be like. So by removing one of the obstacles, which could be coming repeatedly, or removing that fee, and instead the Merchants Association will take that fee on, we're hoping, I mean, it certainly doesn't hurt our chances to attract good vendors.
Are you thinking of like a Memorial Day to Labor Day, or what's the season we're talking
So
about?
we picked 16 Sundays running from June 25th until October 8th, and we picked it to go from 10 a.m. until 2 p.m.
And
How are we covering our inspection costs? Does the Merchants Association pay us for the one big permit, or how does that work?
Yes, yeah, they'll pay us for it. That will cover the initial inspection costs, and we'll go and do a full round of inspections when they first open up. And then staff-wise, we can take on and do the other inspections at no cost to the town.
I think it's a fantastic idea.
Oh, I love it.
Thank you. The excitement from the business owners, so I know that, I hope most of you are familiar with the Merchants Association. When we first formed, this was an initial goal, and so we're at this point 8 years old. So it's neat that this is finally, I mean, we've done a lot of great things. This was a lot more of a heavy lift than most events are, because it's not a simple one-time event. And a one-time event with 80 vendors is great, and it takes a lot of work, and at the end of the day, you're like, phew, that's done. This is much smaller, but by having it to go week to week to week, it means, you know, you need to actually find real professionals, real vendors that are interested in making this part of their business model. So you're really, I mean, this is a great example. I want to keep saying it because I'm hoping that this bleeds out to businesses not even affiliated with farmers markets, that the fact that our health department was able to be so accommodating and developing a policy that I hope you agree maintains the public's health, but makes it easier for businesses to come here. I think that's a good sign that, you know, North Andover, you know, isn't just open for business, but that we are continuing to try to find ways to make life easy for everybody, as easy as possible for everybody. But
Brian, to assist the vendors, any consideration given at all? And I do know that there is a cost to the department, but any consideration to waive the fee for the first year?
If the board so chooses, then I'm open to that. We do have to cover the inspection costs
I
initially,
understand,
but that wouldn't be a problem.
What's the fee, anyway?
We hadn't really it was going to be a couple $100 maybe.
I think the proposal was $300.
$300,
Yeah.
yeah.
It wouldn't
Yeah,
be, it wouldn't be for the
$62
vendor, it would be for what, the association?
Yeah, and that would cover our inspection costs for the day, for the first opening one. But,
Plus each vendor would be $62 too, correct?
no, those, that's for the state permit. So, that's a state aspect of it. I'm only talking and addressing the local aspect right now, but when you are a mobile vendor, that you travel around, you do all the fairs, fairgrounds, all the one-day events, you have to get what's called a hawkers and peddlers license. You need that to go from town to town to town, because you're not paying property taxes, you're just out doing business. That's the state's way of collecting, so, quote-unquote tax. There are ways that event promoters can get a one-time license for the entire year, depending on how many events they're doing, which is a state level. So if the organizer of an event has this license, all your vendors don't need their hawkers and peddlers license. They're under your event promoter license. So that's different. And that's something we addressed and talked about, and I gave them the information to work on that. So the vendors they have coming to them, if they don't have that hawkers and peddlers, if they have that state license, then they'll be covered under that license and be all set.
Do you envision having anyone from your department there on those Sundays?
Yes.
That,
Yep. Yeah. Not every Sunday, but that we will be there, and we will be doing spot checks throughout the course of the summer and the entire process of this particular farmer's market. But the first one, the initial pre-opening inspection, will make sure that every vendor selling food does it right. They know how to do it. They've already registered with us. We know their procedures. We just check to make sure they are following those procedures and have the equipment they proposed in their registration process.
Brian,
It's also been helpful in getting us information on the hand wash stations as well, so.
Hand washing stations.
I saw that.
Yeah.
That was interesting.
If the fee was waived by the board, well, would the board waiver that, or would it be the licensing board? Would it be the Board of Health or the licensing board?
The health department is the one that would charge the food permitting fee. So if the board wants to waive that, then I can definitely present that to the town. And I think that would probably be okay.
Phil, how do you,
I think that's more your call.
yeah.
That would be generous, but please don't, that's
Yeah.
not something, the request is simply
As
about
I
the
said,
process.
It's only for the first year, just to help the vendors, just to kick it off. I think it's a great idea, but don't want to
I'm not gonna-
discourage anyone by having a monetary aspect right from the get-go.
I'm
for them.
not gonna say anything. Anybody who wants to cut fees for us, that's great, but just know this is really, the big thing, the important thing is the actual
fee is actually
streamlining.
very small and minimal compared to what it could be, which is why I wanted to have this discussion with the board and with Phil.
But if it was waived, that would not pose an undue burden on your department? I mean,
We could cover the.
You could cover it.
Yeah.
How do you get the word out, besides the Merchants Association? I mean, there's a few farms in town,
There are, so we spent a considerable amount of time this summer visiting different farmers markets and collecting the business cards and actually weighing with them the benefit of coming to North Andover on a Sunday. So we picked Sunday. It's good for downtown, but it's also good for the region in the sense that every abutting community has a farmers market and not a single one does it on a Sunday. So Lawrence, Andover, Haverhill, Methuen all do theirs on different days of the week. We also are working with the Wine Connection and the ownership group of First and Main and working with several other members of the Merchants Association as well as the Merchants Association themselves. There's not going to be lack of resources on our end to get that word out. Fortunately, we're very lucky, so.
Brian, if, I wrote down, I read the write-up on the emails. It was nice on that, what you did. When you had ServSafe certificates, what about if they're just selling fruits and vegetables, uncooked, unwashed fruits and vegetables? Do they need a ServSafe? No.
Nope.
Okay.
If you're doing, for farmers markets, if you're selling whole produce, fruits and produce that are unadulterated, so they're not cut, they're not scanned, nothing, you don't even technically need a food permit if you're doing it in a farmer's market. So that's an exemption that the state has for farmers markets, trying to make it easier for that style of vendor.
But if that vendor has to adhere to the ServSafe certification requirements, cooking food there on site, for example.
Cooking, yes, of
They
course.
would have to have someone there at that time that is ServSafe certified.
So the sausage
Not someone
guy-
back in the office, someone there.
Exactly, yes.
The sausage guy next to the zucchini stand would need the serve safe.
You mean with
Yeah.
peppers and onions?
Yes, that kind.
That really smells good when you walk by?
Yeah, the ones that you see at the ballpark. We're gonna have a sausage guy, right?
But we could. My hope is that we have a fellow that lives in North Andover that operates a Lawrence business where he makes his own sausage. So that is my hope.
Wow.
Perfect.
Do you see local restaurants involved in this to any extent?
It's tough to
Great
say.
extent.
We didn't want to. Again, we've been meeting, and it's really not been a secret, but we haven't been telegraphing that we've been meeting and discussing having this farmers market because there were so many things that could have derailed it up until this point. So I've only been moving along cautiously. So actually, the plan is, with this board's blessing, we'll actually then have an idea of what a vendor would have to do in order to participate. So we will get a good idea of the feedback from potential vendors. I think starting next week. I know the committee's ready to rock and roll. I don't imagine that businesses like Chama are going to come out and prepare foods in that way. But I mean, I certainly could see some of those vendors that you see at either the Fall Festival or Sheep Sharing that prepare their own meats. And I know, for instance, I'll use an example of like Butcher Boy or Takis, where they're actual butchers and get meat and prepare their meats in a way that's not mass produced. Perhaps, I don't know, and I don't want to speak for any business, but I think most would be welcomed.
Maybe a mini seafood festival, such as they have in Hampton Beach every year.
It'd be cool, caught right from the Merrimack, I'm sure, right? We would definitely need Dr. McMillan then on hand, I bet, for that.
Well, look, I think this is a great idea. I do hope it goes forward to help the vendors. I would not have a problem with waiving the fee for the first year, especially considering that you said your department could handle that. If your department couldn't, that's a different story. But
Do we need to, should we
Yeah, I'll talk to.
vote on it or anything?
I'll
Or
talk to my superiors about the fee.
do we need to vote?
I don't think
Not
we
on
should
the
vote.
fee, I'm talking about just like as a show of support or just
If you don't need to, I think it's just more of an informational,
informational? Okay.
yeah. So that's it. So,
Thank you for coming.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Again,
Appreciate it.
really, this was, I wanted to express my gratitude to the staff at City Hall, Town Hall, and I was thinking of Brian's other role, but, I mean, it's just, everybody has been very cooperative, again, from the public, private sectors, and residents, so, thank you.
Anything to increase
Thank you, Brian.
business in North Andover.
Absolutely.
Oh, my Lord.
I know that those vendors are excited. I know that Tina's very excited, so, cool. Well, thank you, guys, and enjoy your meeting.
all
So-
right, have a good night.
Thank you very much for coming.
No problem. Come to our meeting next time.
Is there going to be are there open chairs or what?
I'll give you my chair, you can sit.
Thanks a lot, Phil.
Awesome.
Okay, so going back to the top, there's no public hearings, so we'll skip down to approval of meeting minutes. I've read them both.
I don't have any corrections.
No? Same.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve?
Approve.
Second?
Both meeting minutes, yeah.
Both meeting minutes. Do you want to read the
Read the whole minutes?
motion? No, just the
Oh.
dates, just the dates.
It'll take
I
some
want to
time.
listen to your reading.
I move that we accept the meeting minutes from Thursday, October 27, 2016, and the meeting minutes of Thursday, December 22nd, 2016.
A second.
Okay, so we'll vote. All those in favor of adopting the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous. Thank you.
Perfect. That's the
Sign it
only
later.
official vote we needed tonight. The other things are just discussion topics.
All right, let's see what we got. No old, no new business. Why don't we do the town physician? We'll just take it in order because it's just all of us here now.
Okay, so as you know,
Tell me what's,
Frank Sr. has retired. He's not renewing his licenses. Deborah Lihan, our nurse, needs her vaccine order signed, and we're hoping that Frank McMillan Jr. will step up and offer to be the town physician.
Happy to.
I'll tell you, I mean, I've known Frank since I've known Frank Jr. And Frank is one hell of a guy. And I just want to, I don't know if he's watching, but I just want to thank him. He's always been there for us. He really has.
Yep.
And he's always cheerful, he's always happy, and he's never said no. And I think he just did a great job. And I just want to commend Frank McMillan Sr. for being our town physician for, oh my God,
17, 18, 19, 20 years.
yeah, for forever, as old as me.
And if that was in the form of a motion, I would have backed it
When I
up.
first started here.
Yeah.
The first time.
So just my hat's off to Frank Sr. for being our town physician for all these years.
And as it is said, if that was a motion, I would have seconded it.
So, thank you, Father Forrest.
I will.
Fantastic.
He won't be watching, but I'll have him pick it up on the internet because he's in Florida right now.
Oh, very nice.
Now,
So,
we
it was
don't
good
need-
to see him at the Christmas party, too, by the way. I haven't seen him in literally 15 years.
He hasn't changed.
I know. That's great.
We don't need a vote on that?
Nope, I will
Okay,
just
fine.
Just
pass it on to
inform
my
the-
superiors that you've offered to do it.
I want to be town doctor.
You could be. You could be the
Can
town
you?
pharmacist.
Can I be the town pharmacist?
Yes, you can.
Actually, pharmacists are having prescribing abilities now. I'm licensed in Florida. We have prescription ability. Yeah.
All right, then.
Other states too, yeah. We're getting there.
All right.
Brian, you want to talk about, we have a new staff member
We
in
have
our
a new
department?
staff member, Tony Wolfenden from the assessor's office, who was there for 30 hours, has since been offered and accepted the position for the Health Department Administrative Assistant. We are ecstatic to have her. She's been helping out since she accepted the position for 7.5 hours a week to bring her up to full-time. And she starts full-time on February 6th. So she's been learning the GOTMS permitting software. We're learning how to do all of the invoicing and all of the accounting. She's been learning the filing system and everything that we do. So it's been great to have her come on board already. She's picked up a lot. She's very, very enthusiastic, very smart, wonderful. I'm so happy to have her. So in a couple weeks, we are back to full staff.
I met her, Joe met her. I found her an absolute delight to talk to and deal with.
Yep.
She was wonderful. So
Yes.
I'm excited about this
Me too.
new hire. So
Me
that's
too.
great.
Yeah, over the years, there's so many people here in North Andover. I've had business in the assessor's office, and she's just outstanding, always friendly, always helpful. She'll go out of her way to see to it that what you're looking for, she'll do the best she can to help you.
Great
So
customer service
this is terrific to our department.
Yeah, it is. So, looking forward to her being on here full-time. Even getting her for 7.5 hours a week so far has been unbelievable.
Good. You have some budgeting items you wanted to go over?
I just have the information that I gave you guys just for you to look at. It's just a little write-up. It's some of the priorities that we talked about this past year. I'm putting into the annual report just to have things, let the public know what sort of stuff that you guys want to prioritize and some of the stuff that we're working on as a department.
I asked Brian earlier, this includes a lot of our priorities that we submitted and talked about in previous meetings.
Yeah,
which is
the
good.
surf safe trainings, the trash trucks. I did as much as I could to put it in a more of a consolidated form, and some of the bigger ticket items that I think were more relevant for this type of format.
Well, I had quickly gone over the budget earlier. I think it's reasonable. I see that there is an increase this coming year over this past year, about $16,000 or so.
This is just the draft. This is just what we've submitted so
Understand.
far. Okay.
Understand.
Yeah.
And, you know, I was going to go off on a tangent, just talk and whine about, because you know I like to whine about
This
things.
is just a draft,
This-
so
No, this is talk about budgets in general.
just to let you know what we have for department budget.
Well, I'm thinking in like the front page of the Eagle Tribune today, they're
Oh,
talking
please.
about, Speaker of the House, Robert DeLeo, 40% proposed increase. Senate President Stan Rosenberg, I believe, 40% increase, in addition to the 4.2% increase that all members of the state Congress are getting this year. This is above beyond. And that goes to a number of other people, too. And it probably will, the Democrats are going to push it through, even though Baker will probably reject it. It is interesting to know that Diane DeZoglio, she voted against it. So, but it's obscene.
So,
You know,
Brian-
when I talk about that type of
Budget looks good.
Yes,
increase.
thank you.
Thank you for the information on the state. Thank you, Joe. I don't think your microphone's working. But, no, the budget looked good, and it looked reasonable, and I'm glad they got, everybody got a pay increase, which is good. Not a big one, but something anyway. This is a short meeting, folks, so you better finish your popcorn.
All right.
Anything else you'd like to bring up, anybody?
That's it. It's been, I mean, since the last meeting, it's been holidays and trying to keep the office afloat without having Lisa anymore, so. But it's been good, and I talked to Larry earlier about the increase in appreciation you have of the position when you actually have to do it.
Oh, yes.
So Michelle and I have been taking turns going through all the permitting and processing all the invoices and mailing out all the permits and just fielding all the phone calls and all the different requests that you get on a daily basis for information. Realtors, contractors, homeowners. It's a very, very busy position.
Yes.
So the appreciation I have has grown tenfold for the amount that actually gets done in the office when Michelle and I are off doing different things. So I'm looking forward to having Tony start full-time. And
She says she's watching tonight. Tony, we can't wait for you to start. Welcome.
yes,
Brian, is there an update at all since our last meeting on the mold problem at Royal Crest, as far as the timeline
They
to
have-
address it?
no,
In
we're waiting
particular?
for the weather to break this spring to get the foundation drains put in. But they have done the interior work at one of the other buildings that we had
Oh,
not talked about in terms of mold remediation. But I've been in touch with them. I've been working with their management on keeping them on the straight and narrow. So things are looking pretty good. I haven't talked to their engineer in the past few weeks, but I'm sure he is busy doing other things. But Ken, I'll reach out to as soon as the weather we know is going to turn for the better.
Okay. Well, very good. I just want to thank Selectman Phil DiColigiero for coming in and talking to us about the farmer's market and working with Brian. Brian did a nice job putting everything together on the farmer's
Yes.
market. Both you and Phil.
good work.
So, thank you. And I have nothing else to bring. Frank, anything? Okay, the magic motion.
Move to adjourn.
Second?
Perfect.
Okay, all those in favor for adjourning?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous.
Thank you.